Okay.
Hold on.
No, I was just.
Oh.
I totally forgot I was supposed to come see you last week. Thought about it this weekend, and my cold hit me hard.
Oh, sure. This one's right here.
Oh, got it.
Yep. Where are we after that? This one's recording. This one is. Yeah, red light. Yeah, we're recording, and should be good to go.
Good to go? Can you hear me now?
Check. Yep.
Okay.
Test.
All right. So
Keep it close to your face and.
Test.
Yep. Perfect.
we are here today with Mark Roemhildt. He's the Seuer County Veteran Service Officer here in Lee Center, Minnesota. We were at the Lee Center American Legion Club Post 108 doing our current episode of a Vet Spec. So, Mark, you were a veteran. You served in the Navy.
Navy.
How long did you serve?
So I was a Navy veteran, or I am a Navy veteran, and I served just shy of 25 years. So 24 years, 9 months, 15 days, something like that. So I always just kind of round up and say 25. So so I'm originally from St. Peter. Went to St. Peter High School, graduated from there. And then I had a little bit of a different path. So I was an officer. So I went to the University of Wisconsin, and I participated in a officer commissioning program while I was a full-time college student. So that was Reserve Officers Training Corps, ROTC. So that's a program that I participated in all 4 years of my college experience. And then upon graduation, so on the very same day that I received my diploma, my bachelor's degree, I received a commission as an officer in the Navy. And that's when my active duty Navy started. And I was an ensign in the Navy, and I was a surface warfare officer. So I always tell people that an officer in the Navy, you could generally do one of three things. You could be an aviator, you could be a submariner, or you could be a surface warfare officer. Those are the three general ones. There's a handful of other fields that you could go into, but those are the big ones, particularly right out of college. So I was a surface warfare officer for my entire career. Spent a lot of time at sea, a lot of different varieties of deployments and locations. Some people in their Navy career have opted and have been able to stay sort of on one type of a ship or in one port. The big ones are San Diego or Norfolk, Virginia. I felt that I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to move around and see a little bit of the world and see different kinds of ships and do different kinds of missions. So I considered myself a jack of all trades, and partially by design and partially by just happen chance, but I was all over the world. I served on the East Coast and the West Coast. I deployed to the Mediterranean. I deployed to the Eastern Pacific as well as the Western Pacific. I did a tour out of Japan. I spent a fair amount of time in the Middle East, right off the coast of Iraq, doing a bunch of stuff, kind of all over. Did a tour in Singapore with deployments everywhere. So I was on a wide variety of ships. I was on aircraft carriers, cruisers, destroyers, a number of amphibious ships. I was even embarked on an Australian ship for a deployment. So a lot of time at sea, a lot of different missions, and it was a fulfilling and rewarding career. I retired the end of 2016, and I was somehow able to convince my California-born wife to move back to my hometown of St. Peter, Minnesota, and so that's where we've been residing since 2017. I did a couple of other things for a while, and then I was hired on as the Seuer County Veterans Service Officer starting in 2012.
So you've been married for about 8 years? A little over?
Well, no. So actually, we just celebrated our 22nd anniversary.
Okay.
So she's a Navy wife through and through. So she's been through the deployments and the absences and the high stress and everything. So there's the adage that a Navy spouse is the toughest job in the Navy. And that is absolutely true, and she's been remarkable at being a Navy spouse. And I'll tell you, and I hope that this topic comes up maybe through our conversation today, but the burdens and the sacrifices from our families and our wives and our children, that is absolutely something that's huge and should not be forgotten. The things that my wife has had to go through, and the absences and the long deployments, missed birthdays and all sorts of stuff, and everything that she has had to do in my absence to take care of our kids and the house and the car without me is just beyond measure, and cannot be appreciated enough.
Well, I know me and Rich have talked about that quite a bit because we're both served in the military and we're married at the same time, and we've been deployed, and so we know what we know what our wives have gone through, just like you and your family. It is remarkable. We always like to talk about how big of a relief it is for the service member to be doing their job, knowing that they have someone taking care of the home.
Absolutely, and you know that things are being handled, and the bills are being paid, and the kids are fed, and all of that, and you know that you come home and everything is ready to go, and it's like there's a warm dinner on the table and clean clothes, and it's just a
Pick up where you left off.
incredible blessing to be able to have that.
Yes, it is. So, you already told us about how you got into the Navy. Was there a reason you went that route?
Well, my father was drafted in the Army during the Korean War. And self-admittedly, he was not a good soldier. He did not want to go into the Army. He was a farmer outside of Waseca and really had never left town, but was drafted. But he always said that it was the Army that made a man out of him. And he recounts at the dinner table, I recall him telling stories, and he always had fascinating stories to tell. And again, self-admittedly, he was not a good soldier. He was even busted. I think he was out drinking or something one night. He missed a bed check or something, and he was busted. And he couldn't even march. He tells us that he had to carry a rock in his left hand so that when they did cadence, he would know which was his left foot. So military life was just not for him, and he got out as soon as he could, and his obligation was over. But he always said that it was the Army that made a man out of him, and he just had these incredible stories, and he was extremely proud of his service. And instilled sort of the feeling, I think, of service in my older brother and myself. I have just one older sibling. So my brother very much followed in my dad's footsteps. He went into the Army. He also followed the officer path. He was a graduate of West Point, the military academy. I wasn't the student that my brother was, so that wasn't for me. But I knew that I always wanted to serve. Army, to me, just wasn't something that I was interested in, but there was something about ships that just fascinated me. They just looked like these really cool big jungle gyms, that you could kind of climb around. And the fact that they, and being from Minnesota, the ocean was a pretty novel thing. Right. And so just the idea of, traveling across the ocean to these far away and distant lands and being on a ship and serving your nation and leading sailors, and it just seemed like an incredible opportunity for me. So I sort of had my sights set on the Navy basically as far back as I can remember. I hardly even really remember a time when I didn't think that I wasn't going to be in the Navy.
Very nice, very nice. So I was going to ask you, when you were talking about your wife and family, did they get to travel?
They did.
To places with you too?
They did.
I don't know how much that works for the Navy. I know the Army, they get to go for sure. But
Yeah,
I assume they went with you all.
Yep, depending on kind of where and when. Obviously, they weren't with me when I was on deployment at sea. And then the other thing is that my wife and I were married at about my 10-year point. So the first 10 years of my career was a lot of time at sea and a lot of deployments and such. And it didn't completely die off after that once I got married, but it slowed down a little bit. So there was a little bit less of the deployments, but we did have some overseas assignments together. So when I first became married, my wife said, I don't care what you do, but I want to be stationed in Europe. And so I called up the Navy and I said, well, I have to be stationed in Europe because my wife says. And they accommodated, and so our first tour as a married couple was in Naples, Italy. We were there for 3 years. And so that was really cool. And then Japan, and my oldest was not born in Japan, but we took her over to Japan when she was 3 weeks old. So her first passport is a picture of her when she's a 3-year-old. So it's a pretty interesting passport photo. But then after that, we went to Hawaii. My youngest daughter was born in Hawaii at Tripler Army Hospital. And then we moved around a little bit more. I did a tour in Idaho, of all places, at the university there. And then probably the biggest thing, kind of our last big hoorah, was we did, as a family, 3 years in Singapore. So the girls were in school at a Singapore American school over there, and they, to this day, they obviously remember it. And even my youngest daughter, who's 18 now, basically considers Singapore kind of where she's from, because those were the formative years. So they learned Mandarin when they were in school, and they had friends from all over the world, and pretty neat experience. So yeah, they experienced that, and I just think that's so cool, because I grew up in St. Peter. I hardly left Minnesota until I was 18 years old or whatever, and here these girls have been all over the world, and their world is a lot bigger than mine was when I was there.
Right. I know the feeling. My oldest daughter she got to go to Germany with me a couple of times. The other 2 kids didn't get to go anyplace with me because I was only an active duty for years.
Okay.
I wanted to serve longer, but my kids' mom didn't want me to serve, so
Okay.
she wanted me to serve, but not on active duty. She didn't like the idea of picking the kids up and moving.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It can be hard.
Which I get.
It
I
can
mean,
be hard.
Army brats are Army brats.
It's a real thing.
Yeah,
It's a real thing, yeah.
Real deal. I saw it firsthand. So.
Absolutely.
So we talked about your military career. You've been a VSO since 2020,
2020.
and what was involved in starting that?
So,
Did your bachelor's degree help you with that?
well, actually, it's a great question. I have a bachelor's degree, and actually, I have 2 master's degrees. I don't even know. That's a great question. I don't know if a bachelor's degree is necessarily. I don't think so. I don't think you have to have a bachelor's degree. I did, obviously, as well as the master's degrees, and I think those have helped me tangentially. Education is always a good thing. But no, really, the only requirement to be in this position is to be a Minnesota resident and to be a veteran, defined by Minnesota statute. That's very specific, kind of that statute. So those are the only requirements, and I don't even live in Seuer County. I live in Nicollet County, just over the bridge. Yeah, but it's been a great fit, and the office is in a really good position. I think we have a very amazing staff. The government center recently did some remodeling, and so for the last 2 years ago now, we shifted into what I think is a really great space. We used to be right inside this door here on the eastern side of the government center, and it was a little bit awkward because our office was split. We had one of the offices was sort of on the left side of the hallway, excuse me, and then another half of the office was on the other side of the hallway, and it was a little bit awkward. But now we're in a really great position on a prominent location, right on the first floor. We have really nice office spaces. We have a nice storage closet all right there, and it's really great. So it's a nice physical location. It's a nice physical office. The staff is amazing. I have 2 other full-time staff that I work with. Jamie, who has been there for 20 years, she just passed 20 years, and then Lori, who's been there for about, I think, 7 years now. Both know their job, their heads are in the right places, they're extremely competent and capable, really know their jobs really well, and it's just a thrill to work with the both of them. And they care so much about veterans that I just think the office, when we all work together, I just think we really I like to think that we provide an exceptional service to the Seuer County veterans. So yeah, it's been really a great fit since 2020 when I rolled in.
No, I guess I wasn't asking if your bachelor's degree or whatever was the reason you had to have it. I guess I was trying to ask is, does it help you in your job having your degrees? Or is it totally unrelated? It's just your experience in the Navy and your experience as a VSO. Is that?
I think having education and having the ability to be able to manipulate, IT systems and to write and to a little bit of critical thinking, that always helps.
Right.
That always helps. But really, I think the biggest thing is to have that shared experience and to work with someone and to know what military service is like. That's really the key,
Right.
I think.
I agree.
Yeah, and and there's a reason why the veteran service officer, the director in any county in the state, why the director has to be a veteran, because you just need to have that shared experience. You need to have someone who knows what it's like to be in stressful situations and to have that separation and to know what it's like for the families, and that's really the key. I think the education helps, maybe tangentially, but it's really that military experience that's key.
And I was going to hit on, you're totally correct too about your new location in that building is amazing, right across from the hall from DMV.
Right.
Because I remember when I first came to you, I had a hard time trying to find your office because it was almost like in a little cubbyhole. I mean, there was no signage or anything really anywhere. And now at least there's a sign out there. And, when you come in there, I can see you or I see one of your two staff ladies, so I know where I need to go. So I've been there a few times, and I know one time you really helped me a lot, which was kind of one of the things I wanted to hit on, is that in Minnesota, I know that it's different in other states, but in Minnesota, if you're 70% or 100% disabled, you get different
Property tax.
Your property tax, yes, and that's what you helped me with, because I was like 15 days away from being screwed for the year, and I just happened to call you, and you're like, hey, get that down here.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to just talk about that a little bit, maybe go into some of the other things that you help out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really a great, I think, thing that Minnesota does, and the state requires by law requires every county in Minnesota to have a veterans service office and to have a veteran service officer who is a veteran, and we are all trained and we're accredited and free of charge. We have one mission, and that is to support veterans when they navigate all these benefits. And they're complex and they change all the time, and it requires a different form, and the form changes, and then the law changes, and I can't imagine anybody trying to navigate all this stuff on their own, honestly. But the interesting thing is that veterans are not required to use our services. They can do things on their own. That's entirely their prerogative. They don't have to work through us. They could hire an attorney, or they could even work through another county. So they don't have to work through our office. I would encourage them to, and we're free of charge too. So some people will opt to hire an attorney, and again, that's perfectly fine, but there's not an attorney out there who has more training or accreditation than I do. So we really stress folks to come in and use our services. And one of the things I think that's really important is most veterans don't even know what questions to ask. That's where you start. And so I have sort of a presentation that I run through when I meet veterans for the first time, and I say, hey, these are the things that we should at least talk about, and that really kind of informs the conversation. The majority of what we do is helping veterans file for service-connected disabilities. So that is an injury or an illness that they sustained because of their active duty service. So the Vietnam veterans, if they have hypertension or diabetes or a list of about 20 or so conditions that the VA concedes were caused by Agent Orange, then they can file a disability claim for that. We help them do that. I mean, for a veteran to kind of figure out how to do that on their own, that would be incredibly intimidating. but we can help them with that. So disability claims is probably the bread and butter of what we do. But there's a whole bunch of other things. We help veterans enroll in VA healthcare. There's burial benefits. Along the burial benefits, there's the headstones and the markers. So if a veteran is buried in a cemetery, the VA provides free of charge a burial marker that honors his or her service. So those are applications that we do right out of our office. We send it in, and then about a month later, the marker arrives, and we inform the family, and then they can have it professionally installed at the gravesite. And then you mentioned property tax exclusions. That's a big benefit available to veterans. And Minnesota does things a little bit differently than some of the other states. So, well, I'll start with comment. So 100% disabled across the nation. If you're 100% disabled, those veterans are eligible for a $300,000 property tax exclusion. So if you're 100% disabled, $300,000 of the market value of your home is excluded from property tax. So if the value of your home is over $300,000, you just pay that difference in the property tax. If it's under that amount, then you don't pay property tax. That's a huge benefit. So Minnesota adds in the additional threshold, though, of 70%. Not all states do that, but 70%, 80%, or 90% disabled veterans are eligible for half of that benefit, so $150,000 of property tax exclusion. And so that's a simple application, but we verify the disability rating and we help them apply for that. And then we do it for them every year. It has to be verified every year, but my office will do that for them, and they don't even need to do anything as long as we continue to have visibility on their file. So that's just sort of a wave top of all the services that we can provide. I like to say, though, that in general, we are one-stop shopping. So if a veteran doesn't have really a direction as to where to go, give us a call and we'll at least point them in the right direction. And again, I just think that's a huge service to veterans who are trying to navigate these things. You know, the GI Bill, I think that's pretty complex. And, how do you apply it? How much money is available there, and all these things. Veterans don't need to have to worry about figuring out those answers. They can just come to our office.
I was going to say that not only on your first visit, but sometimes on your third or fourth visit, you get that little program. Because last time I came into your office,
oh yeah, I love bringing that thing up.
Yeah, I was going in there because I found out that our Veteran Service Office, along with one of our local meat markets, had gone in together, and they were giving out $25 gift cards to O'Keefe's Meat Market for every veteran in the county that stopped in there and got a gift card. You go down there and get $25 worth of meat. So I just stopped in there, and plus you were giving away a green light bulb to put on the outside of your entryway to show support for if you got any service children or members in the service.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just unpacked there a couple of things, and I'd like to sort of go down that rabbit hole there a little bit. So the O'Keefe's Meat Market benefit that we did, that actually was enacted by the Seuer County Veterans Council Incorporated. That's the technical name of that organization, and that is the nonprofit 501c3, which comprises membership of all the American Legion and the VFW posts in the county. So technically, it's not my office, but it's this nonprofit organization consisting of all of the local posts. And it's that organization that hosts the annual golf tournament fundraiser. We just did our 20th anniversary, so that thing has been around for a while, and that generates funds, and those funds are used to support generally two efforts. Number one is what we use to purchase the veterans van, that we take veterans to their medical appointments up at the VA Medical Center. We'll take them to Mankato if they want to go there, or Shakopee as well. So safe and convenient transportation get them up to their appointments and then back again. It's a really convenient and appreciated service. And then the second thing that fund does is it provides an emergency relief fund, and that's huge. So if a veteran, a local veteran, can't pay a bill, or needs to get their car out of the garage, or can't put food on the table tonight, or whatever, or if they're homeless and they need a place to stay tonight, that fund has generated a resource by which I can provide immediate assistance. And that is really awesome, because there's a lot of great programs out there for veterans, but very little of it is immediate. But if someone came to me and they were really in a jam, and I kind of have sort of a process by which I go through all that, we discuss that with them. But if they really are in a jam and they can't pay a bill, I'll tell you, if you apply a little bit of assistance right now, who knows what kind of different path that will put the veteran on, a month from now or 2 months from now or whatever. So anyway, so that's what that fund is available to do. And then, so what we added on sort of a special thing this year in preparation for Thanksgiving. The Veterans Council Incorporated voted to adopt this meat market benefit. So we partnered with O'Keefe's Meat Market, and we purchased these gift cards. And so any local veteran could come in and get a $25 gift card. And you could use it for a turkey, or you could go get hot dogs, anything you wanted. And we went through just about $3,000. But the great thing about that, though, was the part of it that I was really interested in, obviously, not only just providing a benefit to local veterans, which is always great, but it brought new veterans into our office. And so I was able to send with them a brochure of all the services that we provide, kind of put the hook in them, so to speak. Right. And then they became aware of who we are and what we do. And actually, we also filed a bunch of disability claims, people that otherwise would not have done that. So we filed about 11 new disability claims. Several of them have already come back approved. So those claims would not have happened had we not had that benefit going. So that was really a great thing. So that was the week previous to Thanksgiving, and we'll definitely do that again next year.
Yeah, that was great, because I got in there and asked you about it. Come into my office. And he brought me up on a computer and showed me a bunch of stuff. Then he put your little thing up on the screen, and I was in there probably 45 minutes or so. That was probably the third time in the last 5 months I stopped in it, because I stopped in before about grave markers.
Yep.
And then I stopped in once before about the local veterans display.
Yeah.
That's getting worked on too. So yeah, I like coming into your office and sitting down and chatting with you.
Well, good. I like when you come in too. That's great. And frankly, for anybody listening here, I wish that more people came into our office. So we have a capacity to serve more veterans. So I've tried. There's a lot of things that have come to my mind. I've done advertising, I've done radio advertisements, billboards, newspapers, etc. But I encourage veterans to come in and let's go over your disability ratings. Let's go over your military service. Let's maybe see if there's something out there that we can apply for. And you might not even be aware of it, but let's come in. Let's go through that PowerPoint presentation to inform that discussion. Absolutely.
Yeah, that really helped me a lot, because I'm trying to get a disability claim for something I'm pretty sure is service connected, but I have no proof. Because I didn't go to sick call. I was one of those guys that don't go to sick call. If you go to sick call, you're a wussy.
Yeah. Well, and then there's some tricks around that. There are some ways that you can still establish that in-service event, and that's, I love talking about that sort of stuff. And and we're not gaming the system. We're not doing anything that's inappropriate or whatever. But there's ways that you can gather appropriate evidence to substantiate your claim.
Very nice, very nice.
Time out?
Time out. Got to restart the clock.
Yeah, silly camera.
Running out of questions. You got anything?
25 years. You can go back and kind of, if any of your
Probably
deployments.
put the information out for how to contact them over there.
Yeah, information to put out, and then if anything that sticks out to you, just from, I don't know, anything that your soldiers did or your Navy, whatever, sailors, there it is, or just any good stories you remember. Like I don't know, I had more fun on deployment than
Yeah. I can talk about a couple of deployments.
Up to you, yeah. It's, I mean, and we're at 30 minutes,
Yeah.
so if you feel like you've put across information that you want to put across, then,
Yeah, I think so as far as the office goes.
okay. And then, all right,
You ready?
good.
Okay, so we're back. Had to take a quick break to restart our camera. So Mark, you work across the street, which most people don't know where across the street is. But if you'd like to share us your contact information for over there.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we're in the government center. It used to be called the courthouse, but technically it's the government center, and it's right across the street from the American Legion in the city of the center. So across the street from the American Legion and across the street from Rademacher's grocery store. Technically, or the physical address is 88 South Park Avenue. Our telephone number is 507-357-8279. And then we have a common email address. It's veterans@lesueurcounty.gov. So again, that telephone number is 507-357-8279. That's probably the best way to contact us.
Nice, very nice. So, and is there anything else that you'd like to talk about your 5+ years at the Veterans Office?
It's just been an incredible honor to serve the Seuer County veterans. Boy, I'll tell you, I have some people that come into my office, and when we get the opportunity to start sort of sharing experiences or whatever, particularly the Vietnam veterans, boy, what those folks went through is just incredible. And when I get the chance to succeed in serving them, it really is rewarding. I was working with one Vietnam veteran who, great guy, had really gone through some stuff and was really hesitant to sort of pursue anything, but we did, and it really worked out for him. And he shared with us that for the first time he felt like he was really appreciated and listened to, and yeah, so I mean, you have something like that, and it's like, my gosh, it's just so rewarding. So it's been a real honor.
Isn't it real funny how you find these veterans that are screwed up, broken, and swear they don't want, they don't deserve, they don't feel they deserve, they feel they're taking money.
Yeah,
And,
that's a common. There's a common reaction that, well, hey, I don't want to pursue any kind of disability claims because I came home and I still have both of my legs, and other guys had it a lot worse, and so I don't want to, I don't want to do anything. And I don't know. I always tell them that, hey, you and I don't make the rules. These benefits are out there, and they are available for you, and they are meant for you. And if you apply for a disability claim with the VA, and if it's granted, you are in no way taking anything away from anybody else.
Right.
So don't let that discourage you. You earned this because of your service. So I encourage them to pursue those.
I did a lot of that myself when I was working at the Army Reserve Center over in Fairfield. I was the only person there, well, except for my boss at the time. We were the only 2 people there that were service-connected disabled veterans.
Yeah.
And I finally got three of the 4, because one of them never deployed. He's been in the Army Reserves his whole career, but has never deployed. He's never been on active duty except for basic and AFP.
Yeah.
And but the other 3 finally did.
Yeah.
And they're all at least 70%
That's great.
disabled.
That's great.
And they all, it's like, I don't deserve this and I don't deserve that. And it's like, hey, all you gotta do is just try.
Yep.
I mean, it's free money. It's tax-free money.
Yep.
Your family could use it. You could use it. You're not stealing from nobody.
You're not stealing from anybody.
It's the government puts that money there every year for this reason. So
Yeah. And along those lines, I'll just throw out one other sort of thought too, that yeah, absolutely apply, but I would encourage veterans not to think of their final disability rating as the goal.
Right.
It should not be, my goal is to get to 100%.
My goal is to get to be service connected.
Right, and to get everything that is appropriate for you, but don't have the goal of 100%. The
Right.
goal should be to, hey, take a look at yourself and what disabilities do you have that were caused by your service, and then pursue those.
Right.
And that's the goal, and that's how the system is set up.
And you know, like I always tell my doctors that I go to, I said, I'm not trying to get to that 100%. If I know there's something wrong, if my knee hurts, I don't care if I get any money for it. I just want it to be documented
Right.
that it was service connected, so that when I get old, if it needs to be fixed, the VA will fix it for
Yep,
me.
absolutely.
That's all I care about.
Yeah.
I'd give a damn less if I was getting money or not.
Right.
I just want to be able to get fixed when I get older.
Sure.
And that's what I've told these other guys that I talk to, or anybody I talk to. I said, just go there and try to get service connected. So then, if it gets worse later
gets
on,
worse. Yep,
then you can either get money for it, or you can get it fixed and get money for it, or whatever.
And honestly, the best time to do that initial claim is yesterday.
Right.
Don't wait. It doesn't
Right.
get easier.
And it doesn't get better.
Doesn't get easier. Yeah. So I mean, I have veterans that will come in and they're 70 years old or whatever, and there's no time limit. You can file a claim at any point. But one of the elements of a disability claim is the connection to your service, and you can just see the difference that it makes if you're connecting a disability today to your service, if it was 40 years ago versus if it was last year. So you can see that connection is a lot easier to make. So don't hesitate. It doesn't get easier with age. So come on in, and we'll be happy to help you.
Awesome. So, I guess going back to your time in the Navy, then I think we pretty much hammered down on pretty much everything you offer, or not everything, but gave our listeners a general idea.
Hopefully, an enticement to come in and ask
Exactly.
more questions.
And
Yeah.
just like the O'Keefe things, you got more new people coming in. So, and I try to talk about you as much as I can to veterans.
Well, good.
I meet.
Thank
So,
you.
I'm a big advocate for your office and for this, these American Legions and VFWs. It's huge for us veterans. I try to get as many people coming into these places as I can. Let's go back to your time in service.
Sure.
Was there anything in your 25 years in the Navy that stands out that was interesting, weird, funny?
I could probably
Scary.
I could think of more things that are interesting or stick out or weird or scary or whatever than anything that was normal, I think, probably. But there's been, obviously in the news today, we hear about what's going on down in Venezuela, and all the boats that over the last couple of weeks or whatever the U.S. military has been engaging or whatever. I actually did that same mission 10 years ago, and so I was stationed on a frigate, which is kind of smaller than a destroyer, pretty kind of a fast, nimble sort of a ship, and out of San Diego, and we deployed off the coast of Colombia, and then we went through Panama Canal, and we were in the Caribbean for a while too. And the Navy had a presence down there pretty regularly, and they rotated with ships and aircraft, and the Coast Guard was down there a little bit too. And we had a law enforcement detachment embarked on us, and we actually intercepted these, we call them go-fasts, and they were these fishing type boats that had about 10 huge engines on the back, and they would go about 50 knots. But we had a helicopter, and we would search for them and ultimately try to intervene and catch them. And so obviously the rules of engagement were quite a bit different back then. We really couldn't do too much as far as kinetics, so to speak. But we intercepted them, and we chased them down, and there was a couple that we actually caught. And it was, and when this whole mission sort of came percolating up in the news now, I thought it was really interesting because I was able to sort of think to myself, hey, I know exactly what that is like. There was one instance where we intercepted a go-fast. The helicopter was chasing after them, and as soon as the go-fast saw the helicopter, saw that they were busted. They threw all the bales of cocaine over the side. So then we came sweeping by and we picked up all these bales of cocaine. And it was pretty interesting, 'cause that's pretty strong stuff. And there was one bale that had been damaged and raw cocaine was going into the water, and you could see dead fish floating around it. So you had to be really careful touching this stuff. So the boat crews had to have, you know, some pretty heavy equipment on when they fished this stuff out of the water. But we retrieved probably, I don't know, 200 bales of raw cocaine out of the water. And then we kept it on board, and then when we returned from deployment 5 months later, we turned it over to the Drug Enforcement Agency, and there was a whole, the street value of this raw cocaine was, I don't know, just measured in the millions or something. It was super interesting. It is like these SWAT team kind of people came on board to take possession of it. There were some helicopters flying overhead and then they took all this cocaine off and then they incinerated it. Or I guess they would analyze it to see kind of where it was all from and what cartels were cutting what stuff and what the analysis was and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, that was an interesting deployment, and I thought very pertinent considering what it is now. So,
It is. It's pretty interesting.
and then there was another deployment that I did that was, I think, sort of out of the ordinary. I was on a ship out of Japan, and we embarked the 31st View out of Okinawa, and we were the response for the tsunami that hit Indonesia in 2005. So we were right off the coast of Indonesia for, I don't know, it seemed like forever. I think it was 2 months. And we just provided humanitarian assistance to the Indonesians. And I'm never going to forget, there was this one instance where we first kind of got down there, and there was a big meeting over on the aircraft carrier, and I was the executive officer of the ship, and so I was the one that had to go over to the aircraft carrier and meet with the admiral, and he kind of talked about the mission and such. And then the helicopter bringing me back to my ship, about a 45-minute flight or something, but I'm never going to forget, and I wish that I had my phone or some sort of a camera, but we flew right over the shoreline. You know, all that was damaged, and the destruction that I saw immediately beneath me this entire flight home was just something that I'm never going to forget. I mean, homes completely washed away, and there was a boat in a tree, and just cars, and just everything, and the entire shoreline had changed. I mean, from a nautical perspective, we were even warned that we shouldn't get too close to land because we couldn't even trust the accuracy of our nautical charts anymore. So just the devastation was just absolutely incredible. So, but I mean, I think about the capabilities of the United States military, the Navy in particular. There isn't a force or an organization on the planet that could have done what we did. The amount of food and water and clothing and medicines and doctors and nurses and dentists and just all kinds of stuff that we were able to put ashore and provide assistance for and relief for was just unmatched by anybody, any organization on the planet. So. I don't know. I guess just a couple of deployments that I think were a little bit unique, I guess, or noteworthy. So yeah,
That does have to make a person feel good when you realize all the good that you're doing for people that really need it.
Yeah, without a doubt. No, so it was a great career. I'm extremely proud of my service, as I'm sure other veterans are proud of their service. I'm not so sure I would do it again. I would do it again, but and again, I think about the burdens of the family and the children. So I know that there was an instance where my daughter, we were in Hawaii, and I was being promoted on the USS Missouri, and she did not want to go on board the Missouri for that ceremony because she was young and she just saw this big gray ship, and she said well, that's the big gray ship. That's the thing that takes Dad away. So she didn't want to go on board. So, you know, I don't know. You can't ignore that. That's it's kind of tugs at your heart. So, yeah. So, you know, I'm proud of my service, and I'm especially proud of the job that we do here in taking care of Seuer County veterans and their families for their service. It's been a real honor.
And I guess the last thing before we shut off here is I just want to point out that veterans need to let their family members know that if something, you know, if and when the veteran passes away, they need to. Your office is probably one of their first stops they should make.
Without a doubt, yeah. And we work hand in hand with all the local funeral homes, and we pay really close attention to all the obituaries. So we generally will reach out to the family and invite them to come into our office. But yeah, then we fill out the applications, and we'll help them navigate burial benefits and the burial markers and anything else that needs to be done. So we help them with all that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you don't have anything else, I don't have anything else for you. This has been great. This has been very informative. Every time I talk to you, I swear to God, I learned something new.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
Well, good.
And I look forward to coming into your office again and just sitting down and having a chat with you.
Yeah, please do. And I welcome anybody to come into our office and if, you know, if nothing else, just to, like you said, have those shared experiences and those common backgrounds, and just kind of have a chit chat. And I love doing that too. So particularly with the Navy guys.
Right. I understand.
Yeah.
Go Army, beat Navy.
Right.
All right, Mark.
All
Well,
right.
thank you very much
Thank
for
you
your
for
time
having
today.
me.
We really
Thank you.
appreciate it. It's been very informative.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
What do you think, Richard?
I like it.
You like it?
I'm coming in there for the. I don't know if we ever did the property tax
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
How about that?
thing.
That's great. What is this? Is this your own?